right? I'm gonna try to make this not as long as yesterday's stream for obvious reasons. Well, not obvious reasons, but because I mostly just don't really, want to stream for that long about this because I think it's not a topic I can stretch out to a certain length. But the context here for those who are a little confused is that last month, a group of individuals, actually one person in particular, decided to basically completely overhaul my house, where they, whined about the floor. So they spent, I think it was $3,000 to change it. And I thought this was really stupid because when you mess with floors, you have to take all this, furniture and stuff of that nature out of these particular rooms. And I just thought it was really dumb. Especially since when you protest this decision, the person who did it will make this cosmetic change seem like it's a utility. Oh, this had to be done. The place had to look better, even though they had the exact same floor for literally decades and didn't complain about it until one person messed up one of them, and so everybody else had to suffer. The same thing could be said of their newest endeavor. If you've noticed, I've kept this format because the furniture, even after this started, mind you, in early December, so like the 8th, 9th, 10th, around that period. And I still am kind of stuck in the same category because they decided after doing this little floor overhaul, oh, I want to paint the walls as well. And I was safe from that because the Rumerman has painted walls is evident. But you get my point that it was just one thing after another of what can I mess with, what can I bother, what can I change, what can I flip around. I had this mattress that the only thing anyone could ever use against it was that it was quote unquote old, but the one person who slept in it was completely content with it. It didn't break. It didn't have any signs of wear and tear. The only thing people could say against it was its age. So when this was gotten rid of, I thought that was really stupid because, again, there was nothing wrong with it. But it all goes back to that same formula of what can we screw with to just, I guess, in our own view, make things better. And what I find so funny is a lot of times I've been, very similar in that regard when I, like, let's say, do a project. So Ruben, the other one actually isn't gone, but if I were to say put it in this spot, I'd be sitting down here. So basically, I would need because I used to put the computer on my bed, so I would need something that's of that same length. When you prop it up against something. If that answers your question. But I was saying that I even though I despise this behavior, I do to an extent understand it, but in a different context because when I do a project or some video, oftentimes I'll watch and go, maybe, man, I could have not stuttered right there. I could have delivered better. Something that is a critique of myself that is rooted in, self-improvement or as far as the improvement of something that I put together. But I've never sat around at a house or pretty much any premises I've lived at and gone, oh man, if only I had this chair. If only my bed was a little bit longer. If only I had another bowl, that kind of stuff never bothered me because all this little home variety crap, it does nothing for me. I've talked about how there are certain prices I won't pay for things. And I've mentioned before that if I ever buy food and it just for myself, right? And it costs more than maybe $20 or $30, I say screw it. I don't think that's a price that remotely is worth paying for anything anybody makes. Now, that's not to say that someone isn't allowed to do this, or I would look at someone as if they're insane for doing that. But I'm saying that there's a certain cap I put on things such as that because there are cheaper alternatives. Just like with this remodeling thing, if it costs maybe $100 or $200 to do all of this, you might get me a little. Even if I still think it's stupid and unnecessary, I wouldn't go, wow, they really just threw out $3K just like that. No, really on the floor. Because the other problem was when you go and move stuff around all crazy, you oftentimes can't find things. And that person who did this actually has experienced that since doing it. And I predicted, I said, when they get through moving all this stuff around, you're not going to know where most of your stuff is. And they tried to sound optimistic. Oh, you're just being negative. But sure enough, it's been that same scenario. Another thing I had also told another individual around the period that this started was that I could never spend thousands of dollars on things I don't need. So if it's a food, which again, food should never cost that much unless it's for a whole bunch of people. But if it's for some utility, let's say electricity, mortgage, all right, $1,000, right? But when you're talking about remodeling or just anything that you don't need, I could never swing for that. The only time I've ever spent over 1,000 on something that wasn't, like a bill, literally was getting a new computer because my other one was broken. That's it. Everything else, always under that. And I said that's not because it's some, price that I could never imagine myself having the dollars to afford. I just don't think anything that is over that price limit is worth it if it's not something you need. But I said to this person, I told them, if I guarantee you, if you do this, there will be something that comes up that you're going to say, man, if only I still had the, it was 3,000 for the floor. It was like, I think 2,000 for something else they did. And I said, when you spend this cash on this stuff you don't need, oftentimes things come up that you do need to spend cash on that you can't afford because you stupidly spent it on something you didn't need. And guess what? By the end of that month, not even a full month later, about 2 or 3 weeks passed, they were looking at some kind of, let's just say it was a mandatory thing that they would have to spend thousands of dollars on. And they were like, oh my God, it's going to cost me so much. Like, yeah, but you chose to spend, and to their credit, they didn't know that was going to come up because they were surprised by, and I was surprised as well. Someone did something to them basically. But I said, if you hadn't have gone and just one day woke up and said, I'm going to shell out half of 10,000 on this crap, you would still have that to use for this. But like I said, that goes back to my philosophy, which is that you can't predict, certain things. And I gave him credit. I said, you know what? There's no way in hell you would have been able to predict that this thing would come up, especially as quickly as it did. But the flip side of that coin is you have the control to use your assets on things that you don't need. Again, we're not talking about a bill. You just chose to wake up and, screw with stuff that you had the option to not mess with. It's like, would I rather have 3,000 or some spots on the floor? Would I rather have 3,000 with spots on the floor, or would I rather not have 3,000 with this wonderful, nice new floor? I'll take the former because it's it doesn't matter to me. And they were bragging, people usually don't remodel places unless they move. It's like, yeah, the reason they do that is because they're aware that people live there. So they have to make the changes without having to worry about accommodating people who live there, because usually they're moved into somewhere else or they're staying in another place. What I'm saying is, when you have 3 or 4 bedrooms or whatever that you're trying to change the floor of, and you got rid of the beds in each room, now people have to figure out where they're going to sleep, how it creates a whole series of problems beyond the cost that have made it really ridiculous. Ruben says Rogan recently interviewed some CIA agent who just blamed Iran for all of the Sunni uprising in the Middle East and North Africa, and Rogan didn't push back. Well, isn't that what Ruben does too? Where they kind of just interview these people and let them say whatever they want. And now many people are angry with Rogan over that. Yeah, well, people turn on you in a heartbeat. I mean, you saw what that guy did to me when he found out I like Johnson. That was enough to write 17 comments. So that shouldn't be too surprising. You know, I actually had another person who had they've shown up rather twice in the last maybe 6 or 7 months, and in both instances where they leave a comment, I always know it's them, and what they leave is usually something that kind of has me rolling my eyes. And they're like, "Oh, Johnson signed such and such with malicious intent," and I'm like, are you Professor X? Could you have read his mind while he was signing that bill? You know, like everybody online is now a mini historian. Are you kidding me? People said that Rogan should know better after having anti-war people on his show before. Well, look, they're the best thing they can do is just not watch if they don't like him anymore. But yeah, I was gonna say that with the projects and stuff like that, I've just like last night when I was recording the intervals that would be in the Giuliani documentary that's coming out this week, I was saying, oh, maybe I should have watched, because I have a couple of his speeches I'm gonna put in there. I was like, maybe I should have watched all of these so I could then react to it, and you know what I said would be commentary over. And I was like, yeah, but then that would take like I have a couple of clips, but most of them aren't that long. But you get my point that even in writing out this script, being very content with the information that's in there, doing what I would call research on the man, I still looked at the close to finished product and said that this could still be done better than it currently is. But that same position hasn't risen within the spectrum of having personal belongings. Like I don't sit back and go, man, if only I had a Jaguar, or oh man, if only I had some woman that looked like a supermodel. It's just that stuff doesn't come up ever. I don't ever watch Rogan. He usually gets creeps into his show. Also, they go on for way too long and they never say anything of substance. Well, neither do I, Ruben, but you're still here. I don't say anything of substance either. I'm just this empty suit. And that'd be funny if I had CGI and I had like green screen and I just like, I don't know, had like some kind of green costume where basically it was just my shirt up by itself. that would be the ultimate confirmation of an empty suit. I'm self-aware. It's like, look at me as I offer very little substance. I'm not even going to show myself anymore. That's what my favorite thing about streams. People just show up, then they leave. They show up. We had 7, then we had 6, then we had 5, then we had 4, then we had 5. It's just like, what are they doing? Make up your damn mind. Whatever. People are weird. Oh, speaking of weird, let me make sure that the what's the stream's name? Enough is enough. All right. Make sure we edit this. Yeah, someone showed me a nice little trick a few days ago on how to get rid of a certain system that is annoying. we don't need any more of that little bombing thing they like to do. Ruben says people said that. Okay, I don't even. Okay, you didn't write anything else. I thought you had responded to my comments. I thought you had found them humorous. I forgot you don't even like any of my comedy. The only thing I said you ever laughed at was the the only thing I did that you found comedic, as far as I know, was that Netanyahu video where I took them chanting "Lock him up" to Trump and like took a picture of Netanyahu and drew bars over it and put that over the picture prior to the video starting. That's the only joke you've liked. All the rest have fallen short. You could say haha when I asked you if you saw the Netanyahu video, you put the it was like the laughing emoji or something. So that's one way to indicate amusement. Yeah, there you go. That's why they have them there. I don't usually use emojis because Oftentimes, if I'm typing on some document on my phone, it'll pop up, and I don't want this on a piece of paper. But they're there for a reason. They're supposed to be used, and you're misusing them by not using them. What else? What other video did I do that I looked at and I went, I didn't like that. I mean, even with the news stories, it's kind of I still try to be a little comedic when reporting some of the stuff, but I mean, theoretically they could have editing, but like I said, it's so much easier when you record something, a little 3, 4, 5 minute video because you can just put it on YouTube. You don't have to go in the editor, and then when you put in the editor, you have to wait for it to finish processing. It can be a real hassle. So to just record it, stick it on here, it's a lot easier. But I do have one of them I'm gonna do this week that's like that, which is the documentary on the Dear John letter writer, and then I miscounted 2 of them, and then also the one with Meghan McCain's stupid comments about Sanders having a problem with women, which is the dumbest thing I've heard all year. And I'm not talking about the last 19 days. I'm talking about last year too. We go all the way back to January of last year, and there would have been any stupider comment. I get flashbacks about the Emoji Movie whenever I see them, which is all the time. That's the legacy of that movie. I mean, I'd rather watch that than Dragon Ball Evolution or Rise of Skywalker or The Last Airbender or that Mario movie. So it's got a lot of films it beats out. Speaking of Dragon Ball, you didn't see the new scans for the chapter that's coming out tomorrow? Apparently, Yamcha's going to join the Galactic Patrol, and then I know that they have a picture where 18 and 17 are in there as well. So it looks like it's going to be cool, because that was my big problem about how they chose to keep 17 alive after that tournament, and they don't even use him in anything other than the tournament. Like, you're not in the Broly movie, and then this arc's been going on for over a year now, and you're just now showing up. That's how they do all the characters now. They just, if they do appear, it's like a little brief role compared to the main 2 Saiyan duo, Suicide Squad. Yeah, wasn't everything. Like, I remember with Batman v Superman, the only thing people liked was Gal Gadot and her performance as Wonder Woman, but wasn't everything else everything in Suicide Squad basically just hated. Oh my God, Megumi, I can't believe it. Yeah, Megumi, you're going to get one of your favorite videos this week, which is on this Dear John letter writer. It's going to be a nice half hour of insanity. So you can have fun with that. I mean, I still look at some of the stuff just thinking about what she said and am confused. Like, what the hell? Trying to say I live in the Twilight Zone. Like, only in a bizarro world can they say some of the stuff they do with a straight face. Jesus Christ. Let me see what else is here. Like I said, Ruben, we need like a little list of all the stuff that's gonna be the subject, because I had Envoy, and he was like, oh, why don't you do a 9/11? I was like, yeah, but the point of doing these is to focus on people or topics that are not often discussed or brought up. So that's that. Good. I got a notification you were streaming YouTube. It's finicky at times. Man, you can pretend you don't like YouTube, but we all know that you're Susan, whatever her name is, the CEO's favorite person on here. She alerts you to all the other streams. So we know all about your YouTube relationship, or rather your deep ties to YouTube. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, they didn't even have any news I wanted to talk about because I was just so like every day since this basically the beginning of last month, I just thought about all that money that was used for this. I mean, like I could never imagine spending that much on something I don't need. Which hell, how much can I get for 3? Like you can get a bunch of like four or five Xboxes, and and when I say Xbox, I'm referring to the newest one, and then PS4 is like, oh my god, you get all the consoles. That was one of the reasons I stopped playing a lot of those new games that were coming out because basically I said it's kind of stupid that you have to spend three-fifths of $100 to get a video game that they purposely make half of it only, how to explain it? You're getting like half a game where a good chunk of it is the online stuff, and you have to pay a separate bill that's not the internet to go. It was so annoying to me. What are the chances that Yamcha gets screwed again? Japan doesn't care for him because that crappy meme about the Sidemen killing him is still popular there. Yeah, well, I'm actually gonna in the 17 bro Dragon Ball video, I'm gonna mention how, people will sit here and keep saying the humans are done, the humans are done, the humans are done. But it's like, how the hell did I'm gonna just say that the creator, they can make anyone as strong as they want. But he didn't look like he was getting screwed there. But I'm not. Basically, the only reason I'm a little excited is because Moro has all these different members of his team, so theoretically he can beat one of them in a 1v1. Because they tried doing the same thing when they had Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin fight a few of them, and they lost. So I'd rather he be there than, completely ignored like with that tournament. Going to be so expensive for just the first part of the game. There was I don't think I mentioned the guy that was like, why would I buy a remake of Final Fantasy VII when I can just play the original? That's the best part of the remake. If you have the original, you don't need to get the new one. I think the only remake that was ever more than just being a remake was like Super Mario 64 DS, because it went for, you had 4 playable characters and they kind of changed the story up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It was they tried to spin it more than just, oh, here's the same game, but it's on a handheld with supposedly better graphics. Dr. Slump is more popular in Japan than Dragon Ball is. Studio Toei and Bird Studio should just focus on the Hispanic fans. Well, that's kind of the thing that they try to pretend that Dragon Ball is so popular, and it's definitely, that hiatus did a lot of damage. Yeah, it's a lot of people give it more credit than I think it deserves in its current capacity. I don't know. It just seems like everything they've done after Z, other than a couple of, some of the games and the movies, has been kind of just underwhelming. Hell, when I inevitably review this arc, whenever it ends, hopefully at the end of this year or maybe next year, I'll critique it over multiple things I think they could have done better or should have done differently than how they did. And again, that's not because I hate the series. It's just that if I go back and look at, I don't know, let's say the Saiyan arc, Frieza arc, I don't have as many nitpicks and problems with that stuff as with a lot of the current material. Oh man, I didn't know that. Bird Studio is really, they took charge. Well, remember they said Toriyama just wrote the notes on a napkin? Am I the only one who likes GT? Probably so. I like parts of GT, but overall, no. Hell, Megumi, I'm the same way with the Star Wars prequels. Ruben came in here trying to start a fight. He was like, the sequel movies to trick people into liking the prequels. Like, no, I liked those before. And I already told him I'll take those any day over the sequel stuff because they don't destroy the accomplishments of the originals. Like, if you get rid of 7, 8, and 9, Palpatine gets killed by Vader, fulfilling his thing as the Chosen One, and the Empire is actually defeated. Z fanboys in the distance. Man, I'll critique Z all day, even if I like it. It's just in the latter parts that I have more problems with than the beginning. I think Super used the characters, like the whole cast, better, but I mean, like, the thing is, it starts off with this really stretched out, lame retelling, and then you get Future Trunks coming back just to have his really earned ending at the end of Z completely destroyed, and still destroyed by the end of the arc. Then you've got a tournament with so many characters that they don't even use properly or develop or anything. And then I've had some of the fans who will go, how are they supposed to develop 80 new characters? Blah. Like, well, here's how they do it. Don't have 80 new characters. Have, I don't know, 4 universes compete instead of 8. So then with your 50 plus episodes, you could actually develop some of them beyond, kicking and screaming and whatnot. There's just a lot of problems with Tournament of Power. I could do a whole 2 or 3 hour video breaking down everything that's wrong with that. What other kids show icons will become villains in Super next? Well, they're going to use Frieza again, inevitably. I just wish they would bring back other villains, like Deborah, who got a really crappy ending compared to a lot of the other. Like, you get the Demon World King, and the only thing he does is show up for like a fourth of an arc and get murdered by Boo to show how strong he is. Hell, Boo's another character they screwed over in Super. I was referring. Oh, okay, all right. Now I realize it. Yeah, basically, I have issues with every arc of Super. I think the best one probably is the Tournament of Power, but that still isn't saying much. And I love how people now, when you go on like any of those forums, they try to pretend like if you don't like parts of, because Dragon Ball's 4 different shows, technically 5 if you count Kai, which I don't. They act like, oh, you can't be a fan of this. It's like, if I can read the original manga, which is 42 volumes long, and like the majority of that up until the ending, and still, like each arc, I'm really not a fan because I don't like any of the crappy new stuff. Really. Man, we need to do a video like the top 10 wasted characters in the Tournament of Power, top 10 wasted sequel. All these different shows and movies just waste characters. It's really insane. It was supposed to be a condensed version of Z, and they actually were fair. I mean, they cut down up to the Cell arc. It's almost 200 episodes. They cut it down to 99 or 98 or something. But when they did the Boo arc, they just didn't care anymore, and they kept it basically in length. It's like 60 something episodes. It was really stupid. Oh yeah, I didn't like that they got rid of Kid Gohan's voice actor and replaced him with Luffy. But apparently they got rid of her because she wouldn't sleep with Sabat or something on the casting. She gave some explanation later on. They used the Japanese soundtrack. Well, I mean, people like the Bruce Faulkner one. Hell, for my show, I took the theme and made it the theme song for the 3rd season. So when you get rid of that and then stick the Japanese track, I mean, people are going to have an issue with it if they are used to the other one. Yeah, they screw up a lot of things. From his adult form. I know. Yes, Masako Nozawa. I mean, then they did the same thing with pretty much every character from when they're introduced. Like, I know they kept Krillin's voice actor over the whole thing, who is the same voice actor for Luffy, by the way, in Japan, for those who don't know. I think she said she might die before they finish One Piece, which is really morbid, but I mean, you know. Yeah, it's a lot of these franchises I have problems with, and I'll probably at some point just like make a video where I just go through each arc and explain. Because the thing about chapter reviews is that's the closest you can really get to a lot of these more known reviewers critiquing it as intricately as it needs to be critiqued. But people don't go back and watch chapter reviews, so that's kind of why I got discouraged from doing any more of those. So I'll probably just, when the thing is over, or maybe I don't know, every 10 chapters, do like an hour-long video. Just in this chapter, I have a problem with this because blah 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 blah. You know, give it credit where it's deserved, and continue on from there. So what else can I say? But yeah, I don't understand the need to spend on that much money on stuff you don't need. And like I said, one of the reasons that I am the way I am is because I don't believe in fairy tales. So I don't think there's going to be this magical person who's going to swoop in and help me out. And sure enough, the person who did, all of this spending for this floor and the rest of that is discovering that. They're literally watching in real time as they get screwed over because they couldn't have expected that this person or these people were going to, do something that was going to cause them to have to spend thousands on representation. But again, if they hadn't have gone around and spent their stuff on things they didn't need, like what I brought up earlier, they would have funds for this thing that came up unexpectedly. So, things like that are why I don't bother with it. And look, I mean, it's just from who I am. The ultimate goal for me when it comes to funding and cash is just stability. I don't have a problem walking around in the same 8 or 9 shirts and 6 or 7 pairs of pants if it means being able to lay my head at night and know that I'm going to be fine because I save up what I have or don't, spend irresponsibly. I mean, like I still can't get over the person who spent half $1,000 on a purse eating some soup that was 40 cents. Like that's that weird stuff that I can't wrap my mind around, because when I think of people who would go out and spend that much on some article of clothing or some other non-utility, you get what I'm saying? It's counterintuitive to the lifestyle that they lead based off of the things they purchase. Now, Megumi, you should have seen it. That was I gave him credit. I said, there's no way in hell you could have predicted this person was going to end up costing you thousands for, your fees or whatever, but you still could have saved your stuff by not buying something you didn't need that cost that damn much. Which more other lack when it comes to funding? Yeah, well, that's why people get screwed over. See, when the way it works is that there are 2 things that screw people over: their circumstances and themselves. So, for example, when we were talking about the chick that had the baby, if she had kept working at her little, because she's, to her credit, has had steady employment, right? If she kept working there and she had no children and she didn't buy, I mean, guys, she had enough clothes that I can't even, I don't even want to describe how, it was a lot of stuff, much more than I have. And this is someone who will call themselves poor in 5 seconds, or whether will, be derided as that. But if she had not spent on any more new clothes for, let's say, 2-3 years and only bought food and, bills and whatnot, she'd be fine. Because the guy she was with, as I mentioned before, and this is why I said that when you're the man, you get like nothing other than just a financial headache. He was paying for her storage unit, and for just basically, she wouldn't have had to spend any of what she was making on the man. Meaning that more of it would have been derided toward going to herself, which she then has the option to use on unnecessary things like more clothes or nails or hair, whatever the hell. And if she had chose to not do that and to only have it go toward things that she needed for, because she, remember, she has a whole bunch of clothes. It would be a completely different. That's why I said chicks are able to, like, when I talk about how much more advantaged they are compared to men, it's because of circumstances like that. I'm never going, whether the supposed perfect broad comes around, I'm never going to have some chick that pays for anything for me that isn't related to me. I guarantee you it never happens. So when she met a man who was willing to do that, she didn't take advantage of the opportunity. She just kept score. Like, to this day, I'll see her and she'll still have her hair done up in 10 or 15 different ways. And I'm just like, what the heck? Like, what is that? But that's why I said that that's why I am the way I am. I don't trust people. I don't think they're here to assist. There are a couple of people like Ruben who, go the extra mile, but for the most part, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And when I say that, let me rephrase that. You damned if you do, and if you don't, then you're a little bit better off. So I basically am the way I am because I know I'm not going to get a circumstance like what that chick has, where she has a guy paying for her stuff, and she has the option to spend on all these things she doesn't need. It's the same thing with the school stuff. I said, imagine a scenario where my sibling, for example, in 10 years wants to go to college and I pay for him to go there. And then, he lives at my place and he works some position. That way, when he gets out of whatever school, he's in, he'll have the degree. He won't have the damn anchor on his leg from taking out loans and the rest of the trash. And he'll have some basic stability from what he's earned. But that's why I said that, realistically, people cannot do things by themselves. And if they don't have the support to embrace some endeavor, they're screwed. Take the voice actor situation, because I know a lot of people like to ignore that, and I get it. They don't understand what it's like to be at the head of some project. But imagine yourself as the person who draws the stuff out, edits it, writes every script, and all people have to do, their entire contribution is reading a piece of paper, and they can't even do that on any consistent basis. They'll go 2, 3, 4, 5 months without, and you're just supposed to sit there and, I guess I can't get mad because if I do, I'm being unreasonable. I mean, it's the same scenario with that, where you have a thing you want to do, or a thing that you aspire to do, that you can do the majority of, but you need assistance, because that's how most decent things are done, with some contribution from another person. Hell, even as I do the documentary, I still have to give credit to the people who were able to record those clips, because if they didn't record that stuff, it would just be me speaking with some pictures. Hell, and the people who took the pictures. But yeah, people are only as good as the sum of their parts. And when you have individuals who are willing to just throw all their stuff away, their resources on things they don't need, and then, like, I guess, magically hope that, because see, here's what this person doesn't realize. When you start getting things you don't need and, like, doing it in some kind of consistent manner, it never stops. So, for example, it started with a floor, then it moved to the walls, then it moved to a bed, then it moved to some drawer desk thing that they were complaining. It never ends, because these people can't satisfy themselves, because all they do is nitpick, find issues with things, and then try to replace it for some grandiose amount of money that they're going to come back later and say they don't have when it comes to something more important. Imagine Megumi comes up to me and he asks me, let's say he's my brother. He says, can I borrow $1,000 for my tuition at this school, and I say, Megumi, I don't have that kind of money. And then Megumi watches me spend 2,000 on the floor, which it was even more than that in real life. But he sees me get things that cost around the same, if not more, than what I claim to not have. What that would make me look stupid because I'm claiming to you that I'm this poor little person, and then getting all this expensive crap and contradicting myself by the manner in which I go out and collect things. Like I said, I give people credit when they deserve it. And with that chick, it's really disgusting because she's a person who I know the story of, and I've watched, up close for many years. I've been familiar with this person for a long time. And to watch an individual get the support of multiple adults financially, when it came to education, all this different stuff, right? To get and to watch her get in a stable relationship with a guy who was willing to go above and beyond financially to assist her, and then the ultimate slap in the face to the efforts of those people to get this person through school and on some stable footing, and the ultimate slap in the face to that guy is to get knocked up, and then like we have to start all over again, or they have to start all over again rather. And you'll have people who feel sympathy. Oh, I'll watch your kid for today. Oh, I'll help you. But the point is, this person made the conscious decision to make their life more difficult. Yeah, but they don't take those things into consideration at all. Well, I told you, when you're screwing and you're sticking your little banana inside a woman's taco, you don't think about any long-term ramifications of what you're doing. Like, these people were so lazy or so stupid, they'd rather buy they'd rather take care of a kid for 18 years so they can get in each other raw than put on a condom for $18. What the hell? Wait, more outrage time. What do you mean, Ruben? Oh, another wave of Central American are about to enter the Mexican border. Megumi says doesn't cross their minds, completely ignorant. Yeah, they're stupid. But like I said, their stupidity has ramifications on other people. Just like I said that you can have a guy who aspires to get married, and that doesn't mean he's automatically going to find someone who wants to do the same thing. So their decisions negatively affect him and destroy his plans. Just like with these different adults, every person I knew that wasn't lying to themselves said this was a dumb decision. What the hell is this person doing? What is this ignoramus deciding to act with? And now they're all trying to be friendly and buddy, and it really makes my stomach turn because it's trying to basically abdicate reality. See, I'm very consistent. The fact that you popped out a kid doesn't make me now like you. It doesn't make me forget the horrible things you've done. It's just, first you were a prick, and now you're a prick with a kid. That's it. The majority of them are from Honduras, the country that Madam Clinton and her friends contributed to destroying. My God, hold on. This person is calling me. Let me call him back. Give me a second. Sorry about that. I'm very apologetic. We had like two people coming in like, why is the mic muted? I got to get out of here. No, but like I was saying, you have people who just they get the chance to do something. You have these, for example, individuals who inherit stuff, right? And it's always the most frustrating thing in the world with them because they'll get a head start on being up there with finances, and then they'll just completely squander it. Like I watched this person receive, I think it was like 10,000 or some kind of amount, right? And instead of putting it in the bank, they go out and buy a bunch of crap with half of it. I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, I guess what I'm saying is when I moved away from religion, I'm still a Catholic. I identify as one, but I don't pray anymore because I think it's just worthless. But when I moved away from religion, I would speak to a lot of these people who are downtrodden and religious, and I said, why would I believe as a logical man, as a person who wants to believe in the greatness of the Lord, that that deity or any of the deities that are described by these other religions would want me to be poor, would want me to waste my time talking to a bunch of chicks that don't give a damn about me, would want me to interact with voice actors that don't intend on recording the stuff I need them to record. Just, why would that figure want me to experience any of that stuff that does nothing for me? Oh my God, it's Mark. He disappeared. Now he's reappeared. He's gonna disappear again. He's the cameo man. He shows up once a month or once every 2 months. I think the last stream he was on was the one where I was like, I don't do anything, which is a couple days before they destroyed all of my stuff. Yeah, it's really tiring because I guess when I did the stream, I was like, are we done playing this stupid game? That's what I feel like these people are. They see each other do the exact same thing over and over again. I watch these grown 30, 40-year-old broads talk about how horrible these men are and they're cheaters and blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't want that. I don't want to be at some advanced age still trying to get a date or, still trying to get out of being destitute. Stuff needs to die. Certain bad experiences need to vanish and go away. And in some instances, like with finances, they can if you will them in a certain way. And with this chick, I brought her up because she had and would have had, if she hadn't popped out this kid, a much easier time going from down here to up here because of the assistance that she got. And it's not just her. There's another one who had the exact same thing, where it's some guy who is so madly in love with him, deciding to go and spend a whole bunch of stuff on that person. And then instead of saving what they make, because they also work to their credit, they decide to do this and every damn thing that isn't a utility, and then go, I don't have the money. Like, why can't that be over, And then the hoochies end up getting hitched with another thug anyway. That was funny. The other one, so not this first one, the guy who has a kid, but the other one actually bragged about, he says he loves me, but I didn't say I love him. So on veganism, but that's a very out of nowhere topic. I've never even talked about food. I'm not one of them, but if they want to be that way, it's fine. I really don't care. There are a lot of alternate lifestyles I don't care about. People want to smoke, whatever, want to have 9 tattoos, go ahead. It doesn't matter to me. Couldn't care less. This is how we're going to function as a society. Yeah, we're going to have a couple of people who look at their lives and say this can be better. And then we're going to have some other ones who just basically try to have both worlds. Like, they want to live as though they're rich, and then also, when things hit the fan, not like this person, almost they've made it to where in their mind they block out the fact that they're complaining about having to spend thousands on this representation, that while also ignoring the fact that they spent thousands earlier in the month on something they didn't need. Because the irony of, if I didn't do this, I would have this, would dawn on them, and they would feel stupid. But I'm serious, if you speak to them, it's like they completely don't realize that. reality TV shows like Love influence these women's behavior. Well, they need to not be influenced. That's a cycle that needs to be broken. You could stick that show on my TV for 10 or 11 straight days, and it would not influence me. People have to be comfortable enough with who they are and the decisions they've made to not have any little thing that gets played in front of them make them change or act a different way. I have had all kind of people try to question me. Why don't you buy this? Why don't you? I don't care. Let's see. I feel the same way. I live like a minimalist unintentionally. Is that the show that made Cardi B famous? I'm pretty sure it was, Ruben. Also, I found out that she's going to be Bernie's vice presidential selection nominee. So get ready for nonsense in the White House. Dude, when I read some of the illiterate stuff she put on Twitter, I just wanted to vomit. This is who people are celebrating and influenced by, really? All right, then. Hey, Mark, you can't swear in here. That's a ban for 2 days. Goodbye. And that'd be funny. Right before I ban Mark, he's like, I wasn't going to come tomorrow or on Tuesday anyway. The rapist. CK said that about it. Dude, if I was a politician and I found out she was supporting my campaign, I would literally ignore it. Like I would stay away from her with a 10-foot pole. There are just some celebrities I don't need the embracement of. Like I remember there was this one. I'm not going to bring her up. I'm not going. She hasn't done anything that horrible, so I'm not going to. Basically, there was a female celebrity who was talking about how they liked Buddha Trash on Twitter, and I was laughing at the fact that they were on a show where all the leads were chicks, and they were the most hated one, the only one that was hated out of the whole cast. But I'm not going to say who it was because they haven't tried to be too political. So just realize that time is ticking with the elections. As her predecessors, interpret that however you want to. You're not as horrible as the last guy who was famous. Did you guys hear about Biden's social welfare acts transcripts? No, we did not. But yeah, I hope the point has been made. I'm getting a little tired. It's been a really aggravating past. Well, yesterday wasn't that bad, but I'm a little out of it. So, get your closing statements. We're gonna have a debate here. Give me your last remarks before I just fall on the floor. I just wish people would stop buying stuff they don't need so much. Like every now and again, if somebody wants to get a shirt or some pair of shoes, whatever. But like the same people who will get that stuff without a moment's hesitation are the same ones who will go around talking about woe is me and I'm all I've got. Like I still can't get over the person. This person is in their 40s and they live in a apartment that costs $1,000. They got a job that pays them over that. And they have been in a similar circumstance. Okay, I don't even know what that means, CK. You have me lost. I'm gonna be on that show. If they bring it back for another season, I'll be on Lost because of CK's question. But they live in this apartment. It costs $1,000 a month. Job pays them enough to cover that cost. So you would think, oh, they're gonna rise. No, because they get and buy. Like I even made this point that every time they come over here, you never see them wear the same outfit twice because all they buy is stuff they don't need, like different, clothes and shoes. It's like, when does it end? I guess with me, when I want something finished, I go out and do it. I don't want to wake up every day wondering if I'm going to be able to afford. Like this person admitted they live paycheck to paycheck, and I didn't say it's to him, but that's by choice. But they want to play the woe is me, I'm all I've got thing while also being the reason for that, or rather being the reason why them being all they have is an issue. You know, if you live in some place that costs $1,000 a month and you've got 20,000 in savings, you're probably not going to be that worried. Just saying. But that's the point I've made, which is that if people dedicate themselves to trying to increase their assets, right? Just put some aside every now and again. And when you buy something, factor in how long it will take for you to make back what it costs. So, for example, if you want to buy some $3,000 floor, ask yourself, how often do I get $3,000? You know, if it takes a month or 2 months to get that, am I really gonna spend it on something like this? That's the kind. See, those are kind of questions and just way of thinking that stops that behavior, at least on my part. Who do you think that will endorse a president? I have no idea. He keeps scratching, said that's a sign he's going to do something cruel to a group of people. This is our decade to shine, man. I don't even. It's just another. Only difference between this year and last year was the number at the end of it changes. That's it. Biden wants to build crystal voters. Well, he's going to keep on. They're going to come to him because they don't have any choice. They don't like Trump's mean tweets, so they're going to go to the local neoliberal. But yeah, I just wish it would be over, and that people would fight back against temptation more often. Because I do get it. I understand where you see a pair of shoes or some shirt or whatever, and you go, oh man, I would look nice in that. I would definitely like that. And depending on how much it costs, I can swing for it. You know, like there was this one time I saw a pair of shoes, they cost $100. I bought it because, you know, I don't really ever get anything like that often. So I usually have the same pair for like 2 or 3 years. So, you know, those are kind of decisions where it makes sense. But when you're going and getting, I mean, guys, some of these people must be 20, 40, 50 different. I'm just like, you collect these damn things, Jesus Christ. And then the craziest thing in the world is that they'll have all of those and they'll still wear the same like 3 or 4. Or again, you don't see them in the same outfit twice. Everybody has a damn clothes collection when it wants to talk about how poor they are. That broad, when she was homeless, bags and bags of clothes. Just, I mean, like, and then so much that it took up a storage unit. I was like, what the hell is this? Would stop to watch the crappy reboot movies. Yeah, but that's still once a year, once every couple of years, or twice, depending on how many of them get made in a given year. I'm talking about how people get these things over and over. Like, again, couple, you know, enough shirts for, let's say, a week or two, enough shoes for, you know, 3, 4 pairs of that, 5 or 6 pairs of pants, and that's enough. I mean, you know, why the hell does someone need a collection of clothes? I don't get it. Especially if they're supposed to be middle class or poor. And when I critique a lot of these chicks, I do it because they get circumstances that are not like that of a man. As I said before, I've never once seen a broad take care of some guy and say, "Oh, I'm gonna pay for you to get a car, and I'm gonna buy you a shirt, and I'll buy you a broad that wasn't someone's mother or other relative." But with chicks and these guys that take it happens all the time, and they don't use it properly. You know, I believe I've said the same before. Victors don't spurn opportunity. So if I'm a chick and I have some man saying, "Hey, I'll pay for this, that, and the other," and I'm also working at that point, I will take what I make at work and save it so that I can continuously go up progressively with the assistance of this. That's what a smart person would do, whether you think they're a gold digger or not. But they're so dumb, they'll let this person buy them the stuff they don't need, and then they'll use their own money to buy stuff they don't need as well. And it's like there's no end to it. Like I've seen one person who over the last 20 years, every couple of weeks, new shirt, new that, and I'm like, why? Why do you need a collection of clothes? And the thing is, when they make these collections, they never stop. Like they'll have the same couple of stuff from 10 years ago or whatever. No, the cycle never ends until that person dies, which is a morbid thing to say, but you get the point. It's like there's no cap to it. Cycle's going to continue with whatever kids they have because they're going to do the exact same thing. Why do you think it's like if you're either poor or you're rich with a lot of these people? There's no middleman. So the reason that the rich ones aren't as bad off is because they get so much money that they can't don't even know what to do with it, so they inevitably end up keeping it, which is a really disturbing reality. That the only way to get a lot of these people to stop doing this is to just shower them with so many coins that they buy everything they could think of. Like I guess I would kind of like to have a PS4 and maybe an Xbox One and I guess another computer just to have one in case this one has some. But it's like I'm not going to get those things if I don't, feel as if what they cost can be made back by me without bothering me in the sense that I don't want to. At some point next year or the year after, they go, oh, if I hadn't have bought this thing, I'd be able to afford the stuff that's coming up now. And they don't have that way of thinking, so that's why they go in to get these things. But look, like I said, whenever you get resources, make sure you use them properly, because as a man, you don't have someone that's going to be your little fairy godmother like from Cinderella and swoop in and save the day. Only time that happens is when you're a little kid, or maybe if your parent is really good or really nice or something. But other than that, mm-mm. But the one good thing is that you do have the option to do with your resources, in most instances, what you want with them. And, that's something that you can still tilt enough to prevent yourself from getting screwed over. So, aren't doing better, myself included. Okay, well, CK, I hope you're actually responding to what I was saying. I just literally listed why they're not doing better. Man, that's why I hate the chats on these streams, man. It's like you'll say a whole bunch of detailed responses or monologues or whatever, and then people don't even respond to what you're actually saying. They just state something. Like, man, I just mentioned how, whatever. If you didn't get it, that's that. Megumi, that's why I said you can't win. If you explain it, it's not good enough. If you don't explain it, it's because you supposedly don't believe enough in whatever your position is. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. No, like I said, I didn't say any age group was doing better. I actually even brought up the fact that you have people who are older who are still screwed over because a lot of the same practices they had when they were in their 30s or whatever have stayed with them. That's why I brought up the person who after 20 years still goes out and buys new clothes every other week, because they've literally wasted thousands of dollars on something that could have been over if they followed my philosophy or viewpoint or whatever, well over a decade ago, because they would have had enough stuff to satisfy them, and they would have gotten shirts more, clothes more sparingly, because they already had a wardrobe, which again could have just been at most maybe like 20 outfits. And like let's say someone decides I'm going to shell out 1,000 on clothes this year, right? And then they don't buy any clothes for all of the next year except for maybe one shirt, and then the next year maybe like the point is they have enough stuff that lasts them for a very long period of time because they took care of that. It's over. They're not ever going to have that happen again where they just decide to go buy a bunch of clothes. So that's my point. That with them, that end period doesn't happen. It just stays and continues. Well, I don't drink, so that I'm exempt from that. And like I said with this chick, if she had used the opportunities that she was given properly, man, she would just be killing it. I mean, I probably couldn't say one bad word about her if that were the case. But unfortunately, this same person was given a lot of passes, and they turned out to basically allow her to think that she was like Superman. She could pop out a bastard kid she knew she couldn't take care of, and these like magical people are going to swoop in and help out. And they are doing that, and it's really been disgusting to me because they try to frame it as you're the bad guy because you want this person to suffer. It's like, no, I want actions to have consequences. If I let's say alternate universe, right? I pop out a kid with some broad, and I don't take care of it. I get put on child support. I get jailed for that. I have people call me a deadbeat parent. There will be ramifications for a decision that I, as an adult, made. Hell, I get ramifications for stuff I did as a kid, which still was nothing compared to what she did. But the point is, there would be a result that would be continuous due to a choice I made. I had the option to make. With this person, they're able to get off scot-free. So here's how this is going to go. They're going to keep buying a bunch of stuff they don't need. The kid's going to watch that, this child of theirs, and they're going to do the exact same thing for another 20 years before they pop out. So, and it's just, it never ends. So it sucks. People are stupid. They don't recognize patterns. Like I said, I've been around people who do this stuff, and I looked at it and said, where has this gotten them? And it's kept them in the exact same spot year after year, decade after decade. And I just want the cycle to be broken. So thank you for watching. I hope something was obtained here. People just have to break habits that don't work. And I think I've done that, and I hope other people do as well.